Complete darkness. Heavy breathing echoes through the void. Then, slowly, moonlight filters through stone walls, illuminating a scene that will haunt you forever. A woman stands over a sleeping man, her hands trembling as she grips a ceremonial blade carved from ancient bone. Tears stream down her face, catching the silver light. Her glowing golden eyes flicker with an emotion she shouldn't be able to feel. Love. The blade rises higher, suspended between duty and devotion, between hunger and humanity. They say monsters don't feel pain, she whispers, her voice breaking. They're wrong. We feel everything, especially when we fall in love. The blade trembles in her grip. The man below her sleeps peacefully, unaware that the creature meant to devour him is now the only thing standing between him and an army of flesh eaters. She looks at his face one last time, memorizing every detail, every peaceful breath. Forgive me, she whispers, and the blade begins its descent. Before we dive into this incredible story, if you're ready to experience the most emotional love story you've ever seen, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like if you believe in love strong enough to break ancient curses, and comment below telling me if you'd sacrifice everything for the person you love. Now, let's go back to where this impossible love story began. 72 hours earlier, the storm came out of nowhere, transforming a clear Lagos evening into a wall of rain and lightning that seemed angry at the world. Ade gripped the steering wheel of his battered pickup truck as it coughed and sputtered along the empty highway. In the back seat, wrapped carefully in old cloth, were the last sculptures his father had ever made. Clay figures of ordinary people doing ordinary things. A woman laughing, a child playing, a couple holding hands, simple, beautiful, human. 3 days ago, Ade was supposed to get married. 3 days ago, he stood at the altar in his best suit, watching guests shuffle uncomfortably as minutes turned to hours. Chiamaka never came. No explanation, no apology, just silence and a text message that said, "I can't do this. I'm sorry." So Ade did what broken-hearted artists do. He loaded his father's sculptures into his truck and drove, away from Lagos, away from the pitying looks, away from love that turned out to be a lie. The truck's engine made a grinding sound that no engine should make, then died completely. Ade coasted to the side of the road, right where the pavement ended and the forest began. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating trees that looked wrong somehow. Too twisted, too old, too watchful. Perfect, Ade muttered, slamming his palm against the steering wheel. Just perfect. He grabbed his phone. No signal. Of course there was no signal. He looked at the forest, then at the rain hammering his windshield. The nearest town was at least 15 kilometers back. He had two choices. Sit in a dead truck all night or find shelter in those trees. Another lightning bolt struck close enough that Ade felt the thunder in his chest. The decision made itself. He grabbed his father's old jacket from the passenger seat and stepped into the rain. The forest swallowed him immediately. One step past the tree line and everything changed. The rain still fell, but the sound was muffled, distant, like he'd walked into a cathedral. The air smelled wrong, old blood and ancient earth. The trees here weren't just twisted, they were carved with symbols he'd never seen before. Warnings in a language that predated words. Ade's artist eye noticed details other people might miss. The way the bark patterns formed faces screaming silently. How the roots looked like reaching fingers. The complete absence of any animal sounds. No birds, no insects, nothing alive except the trees and the watching darkness between them. "Hello?" Ade called out, his voice swallowed by the oppressive silence. "Is anyone there?" The forest answered with a sound that froze his blood. Drums, low and rhythmic, pulsing like a massive heartbeat somewhere deeper in the trees. Then voices, women's voices, singing in harmony, beautiful and terrible at the same time. Ade should have run back to the truck. Every instinct screamed at him to turn around. But his foot caught on something, a root that seemed to wrap around his ankle deliberately, and he fell forward. The ground gave way beneath him. He tumbled down a slope, grabbing at vines and roots before landing hard at the bottom of a pit. Pain exploded through his shoulder. Ade groaned, trying to orient himself. He was in a hole, at least 3 meters deep, the walls too smooth to climb. At the bottom with him were bones, human bones, old ones and fresh ones, skulls staring up at the circle of sky above with empty eye sockets. "Oh God," Ade whispered. "Oh God, oh God, oh God." Footsteps approached from above, multiple sets. The drums stopped suddenly, replaced by that eerie singing. Torches appeared around the pit's edge, held by figures wearing masks carved to look like beautiful, screaming faces. But it wasn't the masks that terrified Ade. It was the eyes behind them, eyes that glowed like molten gold in the firelight. One figure stepped forward, removing her mask. Ade's breath caught. She was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen and the most terrifying. Skin like polished mahogany, features that seemed almost too perfect, too symmetrical, as if carved by a master sculptor. But her eyes, those glowing golden eyes, held centuries of hunger. She descended into the pit with movements that weren't quite human, too fluid, too fast, predatory. When she landed beside him, Ade could hear her breathing, slow and controlled, could smell something sweet and copper on her. Blood. "You crossed the boundary," she said, her voice melodic but cold. "No one leaves the rift alive. Please," Ade managed, his voice shaking. "I'm just lost. My truck broke down. Didn't mean to." "They never do," she interrupted, circling him the way a cat circles a wounded bird. "But intent doesn't matter. Law is law. You crossed into Oleron's rift. This is Iwumi territory. We don't spare the prey." She pulled a blade from her belt, the bone weapon catching firelight. Ade pressed himself against the pit wall, his heart hammering so hard he thought it might burst. This was it. This was how he died. Not from a broken heart after all, but from becoming food for something beautiful and monstrous. But then she stopped, froze completely, her glowing eyes fixed on something beside him. Ade followed her gaze and realized what she was looking at. In his panic, in his desperate attempt to process his terror, his fingers had been moving on their own, drawing in the dirt, the way he always did when emotions overwhelmed him, drawing to make sense of chaos. He'd drawn her face, every detail perfect, the sharp cheekbones, the full lips, the ancient sadness in those inhuman eyes. He'd captured something in that dirt sketch that even she might not know was there. Her humanity, buried under centuries of curse and hunger. She stared at the drawing, the blade forgotten in her hand. Something shifted in her expression. Confusion, then pain, then something that looked almost like recognition. "What is this feeling?" she whispered, more to herself than to him. "Nara!" a voice called from above. "Finish it!" The woman, Nara, looked up at her companions, then back at Ade, then at the drawing. Her hand trembled. The blade dropped an inch. For the first time in what might have been centuries, an Iwumi was hesitating before a kill. She started, then stopped. Her breathing quickened. "I don't..." Ade didn't think, he just reacted. He spoke the first thing that came to his mind, the thing his father always told him. Art is proof that humans deserve to exist. It's proof that we see beauty even in darkness. Nara's eyes met his, really met his, and for 3 seconds they turned brown. Completely, perfectly human brown. Then she blinked and the gold returned. But something had broken inside her, something ancient and terrible and necessary for her survival. She punched him, hard, right in the temple. Ade's world exploded into stars and then darkness. When Ade woke, he wasn't in the pit anymore. He was in a cave, lying on something soft. His head throbbed where Nara had hit him. Slowly, carefully, he opened his eyes. The cave was enormous, lit by bioluminescent fungi growing on the walls. But it was what was painted on those walls that made him forget his pain entirely. Images, hundreds of them, thousands of years old. They told a story. People, regular human people living in a village. Then a figure, massive and divine, towering over them. A god, maybe, or something close enough. Then the people changing, their eyes glowing, their teeth sharpening, becoming the monsters they never wanted to be. And at the end of the sequence, one image stood out from all the others. A glowing figure, half human and half Yumi, holding hands with a regular human, both of them surrounded by light. "You're awake." Ade jerked upright, immediately regretting it as his head spun. Nara sat across the cave, far enough away that they couldn't touch, close enough that he could see she'd been crying. Her hands were tied together with rough rope. She'd bound herself. "Where am I?" Ade asked. "The Forbidden Caves," Nara said, "where the Ewumi bury our dead, where we're not supposed to bring prey." "Then why did you bring me here?" "I don't know." Her voice cracked. "I should have killed you. I wanted to kill you. But when I saw what you drew, when you looked at me like I was something other than a monster..." She pulled at the ropes, binding her hands. "I don't understand what's happening to me." Ade studied her. In the soft, fungal light, she looked less like a predator and more like a woman carrying a burden too heavy for anyone to bear. "How long have you been like this?" "I was born this way," Nara said, "but my people weren't always Ewumi. We were human once. 1,000 years ago, something happened. A curse. Now we survive only on human flesh. We don't age, we don't die, we don't feel the way humans do. But you're feeling now," Ade said gently. "I shouldn't be." Nara's eyes flashed gold. "Ewumi don't love. We don't have compassion. We hunt, we feed, we survive. That's all. That's all we're supposed to do. But you saved me instead." "I lied to them," she whispered. "I told my hunting party you died in the pit collapse, that there was nothing left to retrieve. They'll discover the truth eventually, but for now..." She looked at him with those golden eyes that kept threatening to turn brown. "I bought us time. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing." Ade slowly stood up, testing his balance. His head still hurt, but he could move. He walked toward the paintings, studying them more closely. "This one," he said, pointing to the glowing couple. "What does it mean?" Nara joined him, keeping careful distance. "It's a legend. The story of the first mother. When the curse was new, when my people were still learning what they'd become, one Ewumi fell in love with a human. The curse said it was impossible, that love and hunger couldn't coexist. But she found a way. The legend says she and her lover became one soul, shared one heart, and when they did, the curse trembled." "What happened to them?" "No one knows," Nara said. "The story ends there. Some say they broke the curse, others say they were destroyed by it. My mother, the matron, she says it's just a story. That love is a weakness that will kill any Iwumi who tries it. Drums echoed from somewhere above them. Nara's head snapped up. They're summoning us. The blood moon feast. Every Iwumi must attend and bring their kill. But you don't have a kill, Ade said. Exactly. Fear flickered across her face. My mother will know something's wrong. She always knows. Then what do we do? Nara looked at him, really looked at him, and for a moment her eyes turned completely brown again. I go. You stay here. Don't move. Don't make a sound. I'll think of something. And if you can't? She didn't answer. She just untied her hands, took one last look at him, and disappeared into a passage that led upward. Ade stood alone in the cave of the dead, surrounded by paintings of people who'd lost their humanity 1,000 years ago, and he wondered if the woman who'd saved him was about to lose something even more precious than that. The blood moon clearing was exactly what nightmares are made of. 50 Iwumi women stood in perfect circles around an altar carved from a single massive stone. The stone was stained black with centuries of blood. Above them, the full moon hung low and red, like a wound in the sky. Drums pounded in rhythm with heartbeats, and the air was thick with smoke from burning herbs that smelled like funeral pyres. The matron sat on a throne made of bones, and when Nara entered the clearing, every eye turned to her. The matron was old, not in appearance but in presence. She looked 30 but felt ancient. Power radiated from her like heat from a fire. When she spoke, her voice carried across the clearing without being raised. My daughters gather with their offerings, the matron said. Where is yours, Nara? Nara stepped forward, head high. Lost in the pit collapse, mother. A murmur rippled through the assembled Iwumi. The matron rose from her throne and descended the altar steps. She moved like water, like wind, like death in a beautiful dress. When she reached Nara, she circled her slowly, the way Nara had circled Ade. Lost, the matron repeated. How convenient. The earth swallowed your kill, leaving no trace. Yes, mother. The matron stopped in front of her, so close their faces nearly touched. She inhaled deeply. You smell different, daughter. Changed. Like you've been close to human flesh for too long. Like you've been wrestling with something other than prey. Nara's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. The hunt was difficult. He fought. Silence. The matron's eyes burned gold. Look at me. Nara met her mother's gaze. For a long moment, neither spoke. The drums continued their relentless rhythm. The other Iwumi watched, barely breathing. The matron's eyes narrowed, searching for deception, for weakness, for the truth her daughter was hiding. I know every beat of your heart, the matron said softly. I carried you in my womb. I taught you to hunt. I showed you how to silence the screams. And I smelled deception on you like perfume. Mother, 3 days, the matron interrupted. You have until the blood moon feast in 3 days. Bring me an offering, Nara. Bring me proof that you haven't forgotten what you are. Because if you have... She leaned close, her whisper colder than winter. If you've hidden something from me, if you've committed the ultimate betrayal and spared a human out of compassion, she let the threat hang in the air. I will find it, and I will make you watch as I devour it slowly. Then I'll do the same to you. Nara bowed her head. Yes, mother. 3 days, the matron repeated, returning to her throne. Don't disappoint me, daughter. I've already lost one child to foolish compassion. I won't lose another. The ceremony continued, but Nara barely heard it. She stood among her people, pretending to participate in rituals she'd performed 1,000 times. But her mind was in those forbidden caves, with a man who drew in dirt and saw beauty in monsters, with a human who'd somehow made her heart remember how to beat. When the ceremony ended and the Owumi dispersed, Nara ran. She ran through the forest faster than any human could follow, her supernatural speed carrying her to the caves in minutes. She burst through the entrance, terrified that Ade would be gone, that it had all been some hunger-induced hallucination. But he was there, sitting beneath the painting of the glowing couple. He'd somehow found clay in the cave and was sculpting. His fingers moved with practiced precision, creating a figure that Nara recognized immediately. It was her, but not the predator, not the monster. It was her face as it had looked when her eyes turned brown. Human, hopeful, beautiful. "You came back," Ade said, not looking up from his work. "I told you I would," Nara replied. "And what did your mother say?" Nara's shoulders sagged. 3 days. I have 3 days to bring you to her, or she'll hunt us both." Ade finally looked up, and his expression was calm. Too calm. "Then we have 3 days to break a 1,000-year curse. You're insane, that's impossible." "Is it?" Ade gestured to the painting on the wall. "That legend you told me about, the Iwumi who loved a human. What if it's not just a story? What if it's instructions?" Nara stared at the painting with new eyes. "When Flesh Eater loves the human heart, the ancient bond awakens," she murmured, reading the ancient text carved beneath the image. "Two souls become one, the curse trembles." "Exactly," Ade said. "What if the curse can be broken? What if love isn't weakness but the weapon?" "Even if that's true," Nara said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I don't know how to love. I don't know if I can." Ade stood, placing the unfinished sculpture gently on the ground. He walked toward her slowly, giving her every chance to back away. She didn't. When he was close enough to touch, he stopped. "Can I show you something?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. He took her hand and placed it on his chest, right over his heart. The sensation of his heartbeat against her palm was unlike anything she'd ever felt. Steady, warm, alive. It resonated through her entire body, syncing with her own heart, in a way that felt impossible and inevitable. "This is what being human sounds like," Ade said softly. "It's drums, but gentle. It's music that plays from the moment you're born until the moment you die. Every beat is a choice to keep living. Every rhythm is proof that you matter." Tears fell from Nara's eyes, and she realized with shock that she was crying, really crying. Not tears of pain or hunger, but tears of something beautiful and overwhelming. "Hope. I can hear it," she whispered. "I can hear your soul." Over the next 2 days, something impossible happened in those forbidden caves. Ade taught Nara what it meant to be human, and she taught him what it meant to survive when the world said you shouldn't exist. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. He told her about art and cities and the terrible beauty of sunrises. She told him about the weight of immortality and the hunger that never really left, and the loneliness of being surrounded by others like you, but never truly connecting. He sculpted her over and over, each version capturing something new. Her strength, her sorrow, her slowly awakening humanity. She showed him Ewumi songs, and they were nothing like he expected. Not war chants or hunting hymn, but lullabies. Songs her people sang to remember what they'd lost. On the second night, Nara brought him food she'd stolen from the surface. Fruits and bread and things that weren't flesh. "Try this," she said, biting into an orange. I haven't tasted regular food in centuries. I'd forgotten. She paused, juice running down her chin. It's sweet, not satisfying like meat, but sweet. Ade laughed. That's because you're tasting it with human taste buds. Your body's changing. Is that possible? Look at your eyes. Nara knelt beside the underground stream running through the cave. In the reflection, her eyes were brown. Completely, permanently brown. She touched her face in wonder. How? Love, Ade said simply. It's changing you from the inside out. That night they sat close together, sharing warmth in the cool cave. Nara's head rested on Ade's shoulder. His hand held hers. It was simple and perfect and terrifying because both of them knew it couldn't last. Tomorrow, Nara said. Tomorrow is the blood moon feast. My mother will expect me to bring you. And will you? She was quiet for a long moment. I'd rather die. Then we run, Ade said. We leave the rift, get far away, start somewhere new. You don't understand, Nara said. The curse binds us to this forest. If I try to leave, it will pull me back. It will kill me slowly and painfully. I've seen it happen to others who tried to escape. Then we stay and fight. Against 50 Ewumi and my mother, we wouldn't last 5 minutes. Then what do we do? Ade asked, frustration creeping into his voice. Nara pulled back to look at him. In the dim light, she was breathtaking, more human than ever, but still carrying that otherworldly grace. Kiss me, she said. What? I want to know what it feels like. Just once, before everything ends, I want to feel something that isn't hunger or fear or duty. Please. Ade cupped her face in his hands. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. They kissed. Slowly at first, tentatively, like neither quite knew what they were doing. Then deeper, more desperate, more real. And as their lips met, something magical happened. Golden light erupted from Nara's chest, spreading across her skin in patterns like the ancient text on the cave walls. Her eyes blazed, not with gold anymore, but with light. Pure, warm, human light. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Nara looked at her hands in wonder. The curse marks that had covered her skin since birth were fading. Not gone, but lighter, weakening. The legend, she breathed. It's true. Love really does break the curse. But their moment of hope shattered when they heard it. A hunting horn echoing through the forest. Then drums, then shouting. Many voices coming closer. A small figure appeared at the cave entrance. Kemi, a young Ewumi who'd been exploring where she shouldn't. Her eyes were wide with shock and horror. Nara, she whispered, what have you done? Nara moved with supernatural speed, but not fast enough. Kemi ran screaming. Traitor, she's keeping it alive, the human lives. The forest erupted with sound. Torches blazed to life in every direction. The hunting party was coming, and they were bringing everyone. Run! Nara grabbed Ade's hand, pulling him deeper into the caves. They ran through tunnels that twisted like intestines, through chambers filled with bones of Nara's ancestors. Through darkness so complete that Ade had to trust entirely in Nara's supernatural vision. But there were too many. The Ewumi knew these caves better than anyone. They cut off every escape route, herding Nara and Ade toward the surface like wolves driving prey toward a cliff. They burst out of a cave exit directly into the blood moon clearing, into the center of 50 Ewumi warriors, into the presence of the matron who sat on her throne of bones with a smile that promised suffering. Well, the matron said, her voice carrying across the clearing, my daughter returns, and she brings her offering after all. Nara stood in front of Ade, her blade drawn, her stance protective. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "Nara, don't," Ade pleaded. "I won't let them take you." The matron rose and descended from her throne. Every Iwumi in the clearing watched in perfect silence as she approached her daughter. "You fool," she said, but her voice carried something other than anger. Sadness, pity. "You fell in love." "Yes," Nara said, not bothering to deny it. "Do you know what happens to Iwumi who love humans?" "I don't care." The matron stopped a few feet away. Up close, she looked tired, ancient, like someone who'd been carrying a burden for too many centuries. "I was like you once," she said softly. "Did you know that? 1,000 years ago, when the curse was new, I fell in love with a human man. Your father." Gasps echoed through the clearing. This was a secret the matron had never shared. "He was beautiful," the matron continued. "Kind. He looked at me like I was still human, like the curse didn't matter. And I believed him. I believed love could save us." Her expression hardened. "But love doesn't break curses, daughter. Hunger does." The curse grew stronger. It demanded I choose, my love or my survival, my humanity or my life. "What did you choose?" Nara asked, though she already knew. "I chose survival," the matron said. "I tore out my own heart, made it cold and dead. Then I devoured your father slowly, savoring every piece, forcing myself to associate love with feeding. It worked. I survived. I stopped feeling, and I've lived for 1,000 years since, ruling our people, keeping them strong, keeping them alive." She moved closer to Nara. "Now you'll make the same choice. Devour him before sunrise, or I'll make you watch as I consume him piece by piece while he screams. Then I'll do the same to you." Nara's blade didn't waver. "I won't." "Then you're both already dead." The matron raised her hand. Iwumi warriors moved forward, weapons drawn. They grabbed Ade, tearing him away from Nara despite her struggles. They chained him to the altar, spreading his arms wide. The matron placed a ceremonial blade in Nara's bound hands. "The blood moon is rising," the matron said. "You have until sunrise, 1 hour. Eat him, Nara, prove you're one of us. Or die proving you're not." The drums began, slow, methodical, counting down to dawn. Nara knelt before the altar, blade in hand, Ade chained and helpless before her. His eyes met hers, and in them she saw no fear, only love. "Do it," he said softly. "No," Nara whispered. "Save yourself, please. I'd rather be human and die than be immortal and dead inside." The matron laughed, bitter and broken. "Then watch him suffer first." She approached the altar, her hand glowing with curse energy. She placed it on Ade's chest and he screamed. The matron was extracting his soul slowly, painfully, making every second agony. Nara lunged forward but was held back by 6 warriors. "Stop!" Nara screamed. "Stop! I'll do it! I'll do anything!" But as she screamed, something clicked in her mind. The painting, the legend, the ancient text. When Flesh Eater loves the human heart, 2 souls become one. She'd been reading it wrong. They'd all been reading it wrong. "Wait!" Nara shouted. The matron paused. "You said you chose survival by eating your love. But what if that's not the only way? What if the curse can be broken differently?" "There is no other way," the matron said. "The legend says when Flesh Eater loves the human heart, not eats, loves. What if—" Nara looked at Ade, at the blade in her hand, at her mother's ancient, tired face. "What if the sacrifice isn't him? What if it's me?" Understanding dawned in the matron's eyes. "No," she whispered. "Nara, don't—" But Nara was already moving. She turned the blade toward herself, toward her own chest. "Every curse can be broken," she said. "Sometimes you just have to be willing to pay the price." She plunged the blade into her own heart. The world exploded with light, golden, pure, searing light that emanated from the wound in Nara's chest. She carved out a piece of her own heart, her hands steady even as blood poured down her body, even as her life drained away, even as her eyes met Ade's one last time. "Eat," she gasped, holding out the piece of her heart, "and live for both of us." "No!" Ade screamed, struggling against his chains. "Nara, no!" "You must," she whispered. Her hands reached his lips, forcing the piece of her heart into his mouth. "For love. For us. For breaking everything they said was impossible." The moment he swallowed, the curse shattered. Energy exploded across the clearing. The chains binding Ade broke like paper. His eyes blazed with golden fire as Nara's essence merged with his. He felt everything she'd ever felt. 1,000 years of ancestral memory, centuries of hunger and loneliness, and in the last moments, love so pure and powerful it burned away everything else. Nara's body began dissolving into silver mist. She collapsed into Ade's arms, growing lighter, more translucent with every second. "No, no, no," Ade sobbed, holding her. "Don't leave me, please don't leave me." "Find the truth," Nara whispered, her voice fading. "Save my people. The curse is breaking, but not broken. You're the key. Her words dissolved into mist. Her body followed, until Ade held nothing but air and memory. He threw back his head and screamed. The sound was inhuman, filled with power and grief and rage. Around the clearing, every Ewumi fell to their knees as the curse cracked through them. The matron watched with ancient eyes as her daughter's sacrifice began what she'd been too afraid to finish 1,000 years ago. Ade stood, his body changed. Stronger, faster, his eyes glowing gold. He looked at the matron, at the assembled Ewumi, at the forest that had taken everything from him. "This isn't over," he said, his voice carrying Nara's echo. "She gave everything to start breaking this curse. I'll finish what she started." Then he ran, faster than any human should run, carrying Nara's sculpture from the cave, leaving behind a clearing full of Ewumi feeling emotions they hadn't felt in centuries. Fear, grief, and strangest of all, hope. This love story isn't over. Nara sacrificed everything, but Ade is about to do something impossible. Before you watch part 2, smash that like button if this story destroyed you emotionally. Subscribe because part 2 will be even more intense. And comment below, would you sacrifice yourself to save the one you love? Part 2 drops next, and I promise you, the ending will blow your mind.